Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Durderpii, joined by my co-host, Cujo1989.
Hello.
And today we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of VE Day. And for that, World of Tanks is celebrating by giving us a new Stockade Object 703 autoloader. And honestly, the Object 703 is just a fancy way of saying IS-3. Cujo should know.
This is where I must interject with a bit of a personalization here. Yeah, it's a bit of a Inception moment here, and I don't mean in a Leonardo DiCaprio way. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a fucked up situation in a situation that crawled up its ass so far that it no longer knows what it is, but that's right, we have a Fatherland, an IS-3A, and a Stockade, which are all three identical models with different paint jobs. Unfortunately, only the Stockade gets an auto-loading mechanism, whereas the rest get, fuck all. Yeah, fuck all, that's what it is.
With the Fatherland being the most expensive tank in the game, this thing is actually cheaper and it's also better than the Fatherland. So I'm not sure what they're going for here because the buy price right now for the purchase price for the Stockade is currently $12,550. That's if I'm correct, yes. And the Fatherland is upwards in the 15K gold per just to buy it outright, I believe.
Now, the curiosity here is that the Stockade gets a 3-shot clip with roughly a 3-second interclip reload, so roughly 9 seconds to 12 seconds you've fired every single shell you have, and you reload that clip in 32 seconds, giving you effectively 6 rounds a minute. I mean, yeah, there's number crunchers out there going to haggle this shit to hell. But then you go to the IS-3A in the Fatherland, and you get 5.15. Wow.
It's a it's a mega fucking buff, apparently, and they decided to sell it. And it's not like they intend to update the IS-3A or the Fatherland. They don't, because I don't know why. I guess it's just to ship it with a bigger price tag, I guess, you know.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a huge buff, because it is only about... It's a little less than 1 round a minute, and let's face it, with a really good crew and either of those premium tanks plus equipment, you can bring them up to in the ballpark of the 6 round a minute range, whereas this thing, irregardless of your crew skills, a 32-second reload is about a 32-second reload. You're stuck in that sense, so I guess it kind of sort of balances... But it's just a kind of slap in the face, you know? Because it's the same goddamn model with a different paint job.
Yeah. Looking at the model here, I kind of like the CCP kind of paint job on it. I like the stripes of it, too, because it makes it feel like a traditional Russian tank that's supposed to have, like, I don't know, tracksuit stripes. That's what I'm thinking.
You just love how the Gulag tank has prison bars painted on, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. But I like the paint job versus the Fatherland, where it seems a little bit more creative, you know, and a little bit more out there, you know.
Oh no, absolutely. I would say overall, it's cool as hell.
I don't know though. Like why would they release this? I don't know. I mean, I just don't know what to say about it. It's leaving me at a standstill, because it's just, why would they give it this the autoloader and they wouldn't bother, you know, to touch the Fatherland or the IS-3A, you know?
You know, to touch on that a step further here, I'm currently looking at the module layout in the little picture of the tank here going through the viewer in the garage. And when you look at the ammo rack layout, which is something in the description they make a key note of, it's the exact same ammo rack module in the exact same place, size, scale, and everything. So it's almost as though it's an identical tank with identical mechanisms, but a slightly different functionality in the game.
And when you play IS-3 Auto or the IS-3A, or not the, God, the Fatherland. Sorry, it's sitting right in front of me and I can't even think about it. But it should have a very similar, if not exactly identical, mechanism. You know, so there's no loader in either tank either. You know, it solely relies on the MRAC and, you know, the auto reloading feature, or not auto reloading, but you know, they said it was an auto.
Yeah, somehow the same tank isn't the same tank, but you know, to give you an idea, the IS-3A was on sale. I think we featured it was in the ballpark of 6,000 gold. Now you got this thing come up that's over 12,500, just a touch over, and you just kind of sit and wonder to yourself, had you bought the IS-3A, for instance, that you haven't been slightly cheated while misled at the same time here, because it's honestly, it's a bit scummy, because it literally is the same model down to the frayed towing cable on the back. It's just lazy.
With a different skin. I mean, copy paste, put
a paint job
on it, get it out. You know,
they gave it a camo and put a bigger price tag on it, and hey, here you go.
I mean, yeah, as much as you would like to see change, you know, Wargaming has done this before, because if you look at something like the Hydra with the IS-6, Wargaming's done this before, where they've put a camo on a buffed tank and sold it at a different price.
Well, to be fair, you had the improved engine in the gun, which was much more infuriating because it was the actual buff the IS-6 needs to function in the game in its current state 6 years on, versus this, which is literally just a different camo slapped on and, hey, look, give money.
Exactly. And, like, that's...
Well, no, they have the auto mechanism, you know?
They gave it a buff, and then they sold it. They sold the buff, so you have to pay in order to access that buff, essentially. You know, if you really want to.
I mean, this isn't the worst thing they've done by far. It's just another. It's kind of lazy, you know. I mean, I'm kind of glad they're not putting the auto reloader from PC in, because at the end of the day, that shit is broken as hell. So on one hand, it's a different flavor of IS-3, but it just, come on.
I mean, there are many other options too that are decent, but at the same time, not as, they don't have autoloaders, you know? There's so many different IS-3 kind of tanks in the game, you know, like the 112 can be almost counted as an IS-3, the Scourge, the Kirovitz 1, so on and so forth, right? So I guess this is just another addition to the fire of all the Shermans and IS-3s that there are out there.
I mean, it's just a slightly different flavor on the same tank, which I can't fault it for. The IS-3 has always been a solid, at least average performing tank. Even to a very new player, Russian heavies are always friendly to people. You can't argue that point.
It's hit or miss sometimes, because I don't play as many heavies, so I tend to have a bad time playing heavies.
And yet you've recommended the Russian heavy lines to people to start out before.
Well, I mean, I know about the tanks. I don't have to necessarily play them in order to recommend them. I mean...
True.
I mean, you're talking to somebody who wants to do a lot of damage and also take a shot, so I mean, it's pretty obvious where they're going.
I mean, basically, the whole summary of what we're doing here is that basically this is just a kind of a cheap, lackluster way to make more money, which, hey, they have to make money, but they could have done something with the model. They could have given it a different skin, added some extra shit on top of the turret. I mean, give me some goddamn sandbags or something. Don't just put a different paint job on and sell it with a different mechanic for the gun.
Now that I look back on it, Wargaming has done this a lot before, you know. Think about like the Borsig with the Iron Ring. That got a paint job and it became an autoloader, right? And then they released like 6 different tanks, and it was a Carnarvon Action 10 with a autoloader. I think that's the Eradicator. Yeah, that's the Eradicator. They have a T-28 prototype with a 3-round autoloader, and then they also have the T-34-100 with a 3-round autoloader. So they've been kind of like throwing in all these autoloaders at us recently.
I mean, they could have given us some kind of like, turret bustle rack, a spotlight, a machine gun. I mean, they could have, basically dragged and dropped anything off of any other tank and just kind of half-ass slapped it on this just to make it look a little different. I mean, for hell, for fuck's sake.
Reloading.
Does anybody remember the joke about the bicycle for the VK16801 from PC, where when they originally had issued it, it was going to have a bicycle on the side of the turret, and then they took it away, and everybody screamed, "Where's the bike?" It's like that, just
tiny, tiny little things that actually matter. Because I would love to have a bike on the side of my tank.
At least show us that there was some effort put in. Something.
Right.
No. I still like the game, still enjoy the game, but when you see things like this, it just becomes disheartening. Because it's just lazy.
It's so sad to see something hurt that bad. I mean, it's
Moop.
I get it. Their production might be down too, due to COVID and everything. Even them they based out of the UK, right? Yeah, they're based out of the UK, and they're still going through the COVID-19 stuff just like we are, but I don't know.
I've rather seen things left on hold and gotten something a little bit more than a doodle camo somebody did on an iPad in 20 minutes.
At least it shows that we're getting attention, and they're keeping to their kind of like their promises almost, just to update us weekly, which I'm happy because they keep resetting the servers,
But if memory serves, this camo, CCP, you're seeing heavy industry displayed, factories, this and that. And there are significant Russian holidays in the beginning of May, especially in regards to the end of World War II, or the Great Patriotic War, as I believe it is considered over there, which, this probably does favor better into their Eastern European clientele, especially the Russians, the Belarusians, people of that order. This camo definitely makes more sense, but I suppose to the rest of the world, it's just kind of a...
I want to see something like... I want to see a Japanese hero tank. Other than the Senshi, I want to see another one of those. I'd love to see, like, an all-white tank with, like, the sunrise from the Rise of the Empire, stuff like that.
Whereas I respect your input, that one does cause a great deal of contention, especially in Asian countries. That one we never quite see.
The
rising sun is a very hated symbol in the Asian market. It really is. People look upon the that particular flag with a great level of disdain. Kind of tantamount to the German flag from the Second World War era. It's not looked upon well.
Right. Well, I mean, it's an idea, and at least we're getting it out on the table.
Basically, don't just kind of throw a paint job of camo on a tank and then sell it to us. Give us something. Put a little effort in. Use some of your pre-made properties and other things from tanks. Use some clip art for love of God, anything.
I would love to see the Valkyria Chronicle tanks, or the Girls in Panzer tanks. Please. I would be satisfied if you just came back with that. That's all I want.
Boy, we're just falling off the wagon hard here, aren't we?
Yeah.
You're fangirling about anime. I'm kind of sad about bad paint jobs and wanting the cool skins from PC. I think we've about covered this, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we've covered enough ground here. Alright, well, let us know down in the comments below what you think about the new stockade, and if you guys are going to get it, or personally, what your opinions are of it. So be sure to like, subscribe, and we will talk to you later. See you later.
Yo.